Peace and blessings, everyone. It's your boy, James Anthony. I thought it would be a good idea to run through a thread from Stuart Alderoty, who is the lead counsel for Ripple in this SEC versus Ripple lawsuit. And it comes with an incredible 4-minute video specifically outlining, the whole thing. So I just thought it would be a good idea, since today, June 13th, was the day that these emails have officially become available to the broader public. So he said, "It's been 5 years since Bill Hinman gave his infamous speech. And through the SEC's lawsuit against Ripple and 7 court orders, we can finally share what happened behind the scenes through the now public email/drafts of the speech." So this is pretty incredible, this video here. So let's check it out.
On June 14th, 2018, then SEC Director of Corporation Finance William Hinman gave a high-profile speech where he declared that a token is not a security when it becomes, quote, sufficiently decentralized. But internal emails and documents show that senior SEC officials repeatedly warned Hinman that his speech wasn't true to the law and would greatly confuse the markets even more than they already were. Now, after more than 2 years and 7 court orders, we can finally share some of what we found in the Hinman speech documents. The SEC head of trading and markets warned Hinman that he was making up factors that, quote, go beyond the typical Howey analysis, as in not in the law, and that the speech could lead to not just confusion, but greater confusion on what is a security. Hinman ignored him.
If the network on which the token or coin is to function is sufficiently decentralized, and the purchasers no longer have a reasonable expectation that a person or a group is going to carry out essential managerial or entrepreneurial efforts, those assets might not represent an investment contract.
The same official told Hinman he should tie his speech, quote, more closely and explicitly to the Howey analysis. Hinman not only ignored him, but deliberately created factors beyond those identified by the Supreme Court in the Howey case.
I wanted to just note a few things. This list is not meant to be exhaustive, but these are things that we look at.
The SEC's own general counsel warned specifically that it's legally irrelevant if someone retains a stake in a token and is motivated to take action to increase its value, and that Hinman should delete it from the speech. And once again, Hinman ignored them.
Another mic drop.
And said without any legal support that it was important to ask.
Has that person or group retained a stake or other interest in the digital asset such that it would be motivated to expend efforts to cause an increase in the value of the digital asset?
Both Trading and Markets and the General Counsel also disagreed with Hinman's belief that if a network was sufficiently decentralized, information asymmetries would no longer exist, noting that a network creator would likely have more information than a retail holder, using Vitalik Buterin as an example. They warned Hinman that by creating this, quote, other category and focusing on information asymmetries, he was exposing a regulatory gap that the SEC may not have the jurisdiction to fill. Again, Hinman ignored them.
As the network becomes more truly decentralized, the ability to even to identify a promoter or to make the requisite, and someone that could actually make the requisite disclosures becomes in many cases difficult or and perhaps much less meaningful.
On June 4th, Hinman wrote that he didn't see a, quote, need to regulate Ether as a security, and set up a call with Ethereum's co-founder Vitalik Buterin later that week to, quote, confirm our understanding.
Super mic
On
drop.
June 11th, the SEC's own general counsel advised against including any direct statement about Ether in the speech because it would be difficult for the SEC to, quote, take a different position on Ether in the future. The next day, Trading and Markets wrote that the statements about Ether were, quote, likely to create more confusion. Hinman ignored all of them and decided to make headlines, picking winners and losers instead.
Moreover, putting aside the fundraising that accompanied the creation of Ether, based on my understanding of the present state of Ether, the Ethereum network, its decentralized structure, we believe current offers and sales of Ether are not securities transactions.
The emails...
Not that Bill Hinman wasn't directly paid by the Ethereum Foundation. I mean, let's keep it 100% honest. For a very long time, yes, there were wild conspiracies and rabbit holes that went beyond the scope of what's being presented here, but let's keep it a buck. There was collusion, there is corruption, and they, meaning Hinman, whose bio is now scrubbed from the internet. Shout out to Crypto Eddie for finding that, among a couple others who previously worked for the SEC and now their bio is scrubbed. Let's just keep it 100 right now. The corruption runs deep. And then you see Gary Gensler today, like, asking for public sentiment about compliance and integrity and regulation. I mean, it's like it's beyond comprehension. Like, so many people said there wasn't, ETHgate, that's a conspiracy. Well, here it is right here. Here's the collusion. Here is the corruption. The next question is, where's the accountability?
Show that Hinman knew he wasn't following the law. He knew he was making things up. And he knew that his speech would result in greater confusion in an already confused market. But Hinman went ahead with the speech anyway.
Of course he did.
And the SEC, despite knowing all this, touted the speech repeatedly. The SEC chairman himself pointed market participants to the speech.
Bill Hinman recently outlined the approach we take to evaluate whether a digital asset...
Not that Jay Clayton isn't directly implicated by who he's working for now and what their overall goal is. I mean, all this information is available to the public, but it's like, where's the accountability? Like, real talk, where's the accountability right now?
That is a security. And I encourage you to take a look at Bill's speech, which is available on our website.
The SEC knew the speech didn't follow the law. The SEC knew the speech would create greater confusion.
Yep.
And the SEC knew Hinman was making things up.
Hello?
So why is the Hinman speech still on the SEC's website?
Good question.
Why was it ever allowed to be given at all?
Even better.
And why has the SEC pushed a policy of regulation by enforcement, falsely insisting the rules are clear?
Hello? Like, that was a fantastic breakdown of the overall situation, right? So then he says, we now can all see Hinman ignored multiple warnings that his speech contained made-up analysis with no basis in law, was divorced from the Howey factors, exposed regulatory gaps, and would create not just confusion, but greater confusion in the market. 3, a refresher. Hinman, as head of the SEC's corporate finance, gave a speech in June 2018 declaring that a token is not a security once it becomes sufficiently decentralized. And he invented factors to consider when making a sufficiently decentralized determination. 4, although Hinman claimed that the speech was his personal view, he and the SEC touted it as guidance. Then SEC Chair Jay Clayton publicly pointed out, despite the SEC repeatedly flip-flopping on the significance of the speech in litigation, it remains on the agency's website. 5, now let's look at what the senior SEC officials directly said to Hinman about his speech as he was drafting it. Head of Trading and Markets, TNM, said, because the list of factors is so extensive and appears to include things that go beyond the typical Howey analysis, we have concerns that this might lead to greater confusion on what is a security. Hinman ignored these concerns. 7, TNM directly asked Hinman to tie his newly invented factors more closely and explicitly to the Howey analysis. Again, Hinman ignored the suggestion. Office of General Counsel, OGC, and TNM called this factor legally irrelevant. Has this person or group retained a stake or other interest in the digital asset such that it would be motivated to expand efforts to cause an increase in value in the digital asset? Hinman kept it. This is just like, it's so mind-blowing. Yes, the broader, the XRP army, the ones that have been following this case minute by minute with everything that's happening, You know, it's all been very eye-opening to us along the way. We knew what was coming. We knew what was in here. And then you have some people saying, a big nothing burger. It's not a nothing burger. This is for the broader community, the broader public to see what's been happening. Like, you know, I'm long-term. I'm long-term vision. I know what's coming. If we get the law, because we have the facts on our side, we have just, you know, truth on our side. So it's just a matter of when will everything else catch up. And, you know, shout out to Ripple and the whole legal team with what they've been able to accomplish and how much they've actually put in. Over $200 million in this legal defense. It's nuts. It's nuts. It's beyond nuts. But at least now the broader community can see what we've been saying all along and be able to read it for themselves. Number 9, he says, TNM and OGC noted Hinman skipped over the threshold jurisdiction question of whether a digital asset meets the legal standards of a security. He jumped to asking whether SEC oversight could, in Hinman's view, be beneficial. Hinman ignored this regulatory gap. On June 4th, Hinman wrote that he didn't see a need to regulate ETH as a security and will call Buterin later that week to confirm our understanding. Mic drop. Call Vitalik Buterin. I mean, come on, bro. Come on. I mean, seriously? What is really going on in this world? On June 12th, OGC expressed its reservations about including a statement directly about Ether in the speech because it would make it difficult for the agency to take a different position on ETH in the future. ETH remained as a cited example. So what should happen now? First, remove the speech immediately from the SEC's website. An investigation must be conducted to understand what or who influenced Hinman, why conflicts, or at the very least appearances of conflicts, were ignored, and why the SEC touted the speech knowing that it would create greater confusion. And 14. And finally, Hinman's speech should never again be invoked in any serious discussion about whether a token is or is not a security. Unelected bureaucrats must faithfully apply the law within the constraints of their jurisdiction. They can't, as Hinman tried, create new law. I mean, shots fired, case closed. We need the community to just push this information out in the face of all of our senators, representatives, Congress. I mean, obviously there are some trying to make waves and say Stabilization Act and, you know, we believe this, but we need a bipartisan move on the long-term viability of this space. And this is stepping outside of all the conspiracy stuff, all the rabbit hole stuff. This is it. Case closed, bottom line. We need the community. We need the whole digital asset space to come together, whether you're an exchange, a decentralized exchange, a protocol, a layer 2, a layer 3, whatever you are, we need to be collectively working together to basically be we the people, right? Because we are the majority, not the minority, but we act as if we are the minority. Case closed. Peace and blessings. I'll see y'all on the next one. Oh, you know what? As a matter of fact, I do have that 5-minute walkthrough example that I did with the white hats that shows you how to go through and read the Stellar Network expert. So this way you can see for yourself with a quick example of who's doing what and why they're doing it. Peace and blessings, y'all. I'll see you on the next one.